My name is Hannah Reynolds. I'm 29 years old, born and raised right here in Dallas, Texas. For the last 7 years, my life has been about the quiet hum of heart monitors and the steady pressure of a hand on a scared patient's shoulder. I'm a nurse. I've dedicated my life to saving people. But in my own family, I was never seen as someone to care for. I was just there. A piece of furniture you forget is in the room. This is the story of how one dinner, one single act of cruelty, finally changed everything. The invitation had felt like a potential olive branch. It was printed on thick, cream-colored cardstock, announcing the engagement of my sister Claire to her fiancé Richard. The dinner was at the Sterling, a restaurant so exclusive the air inside was thick with the scent of lilies and expensive perfume. Crystal glasses sparkled under soft chandeliers, and every table was draped in pristine white linen. It was a perfect scene, meticulously designed to look effortless. It was Claire's world in a single room. I spotted my family near the head of the room. My father was laughing loudly and my mother was smiling, her hand resting on Claire's arm. Claire herself was glowing in a shimmering silk dress that probably cost more than my car. I felt a familiar knot tighten in my stomach, but I pushed it down. Tonight was about her. I clutched the small, neatly wrapped gift in my hands, a set of antique silver lockets I'd found after weeks of searching. Taking a deep breath, I walked toward them, managing a small smile. "Claire, congratulations," I said, my voice too quiet in the noisy room. "Everything looks beautiful." She turned and her perfect smile didn't reach her eyes. It was a smile I knew well, the one she used right before she said something designed to cut. She looked me up and down, taking in my simple navy dress. "Hannah," she said, her voice syrupy sweet. She glanced at the empty seat at the main family table, then her eyes flicked back to me, cold and hard. She took a small step forward, blocking my path. "These tables," she said, gesturing to the beautifully set arrangements, "are for family only." The words hung in the air, but I am family. Before I could speak, she pointed a perfectly manicured finger toward the far corner of the hall. It was a dimly lit area near the swinging doors to the kitchen. Shoved against the wall, next to 2 large silver trash cans, was a single metal fold-out chair. "It wasn't a mistake. You can sit over there," she finished. My breath caught in my throat. The sound of the party faded into a dull roar. All I could see was that lonely chair and my sister's triumphant smirk. She was enjoying this. She wasn't just excluding me. She was making a public statement. "You are trash. You belong with the trash." My face burned with a shame so hot I thought I might be sick. This was a verdict on my entire life, handed down by the people who were supposed to love me. That moment was the culmination of a lifetime of moments just like it. Growing up, our house was a stage and Claire was the star. I was the silent stagehand. She was the princess. I was the forgotten handmaiden. When Claire wanted new dresses, my parents' wallets opened. When I needed new textbooks, I was told to make do with the school's library copy. They paid for her summer trip to Europe. But when I wanted to attend a 2-week nursing camp that would have helped my college applications, I was told money was tight. So I got a job bussing tables the moment I turned 16. They called it building character. For Claire, they built a life of ease. The ultimate sting came on the day of my nursing school graduation. I had worked so hard, juggling a full-time course load with a part-time job. I was the first person in our family to get a professional degree in medicine, and I sent them 4 invitations. I sat in the auditorium, a sea of navy blue caps and gowns, and scanned the crowd for their faces. I saw an empty space where they should have been. 4 empty seats. Later, my mother called without an apology. Claire had a small crisis with her boyfriend, Hannah. You know how she gets. We couldn't just leave her. A 3-month anniversary her boyfriend had forgotten outweighed my 4 years of back-breaking work. That was the day I stopped hoping. They weren't just overlooking me. They were choosing to. And now, at her engagement dinner, Claire was making sure everyone else knew it too. I stood frozen, feeling the eyes of our relatives on me. I saw my Aunt Carol whisper something to my uncle. The humiliation was a physical weight, pressing down on my chest. My mother bustled over, her expression one of annoyance, not concern. She was irritated that I might disrupt the perfect party. "Hannah, for heaven's sake," she hissed, her voice low and sharp. "Don't cause a scene. Just sit quietly." She wasn't defending me. She was managing me. I was a problem to be contained. My hands trembled as I looked down at the gift I was holding. The silver locket suddenly felt foolish. I walked to the gift table, a mountain of flashy presents for Claire, and placed my small offering on the edge, where it was immediately overshadowed. No one would even notice it was there. Just like me. With my dignity in tatters, I walked to the corner of the room. Every step felt a mile long. I reached the fold-out chair. It was cold and hard. I sat down, my back to the rest of the room, facing the swinging doors of the kitchen and the stainless steel trash cans. I could hear the party behind me. The laughter, the toasts, the music. It was all happening in a different universe, one I wasn't invited to. I stared at the wall, my eyes burning with unshed tears. I refused to cry. I would not give them the satisfaction. I don't know how long I sat there, lost in a fog of misery. The kitchen doors swung open and closed as waiters rushed past. Most ignored me, but then one of them, a young man with kind eyes, stopped. He glanced over at me, then at the main family table, then back. He saw the whole picture. He leaned in, pretending to check something on the floor. "Hey, I saw what your sister did," he whispered. He didn't look at me with pity, but with a simple human decency that felt more powerful than any hug. "You don't deserve this. You're better than how they treat you." His words were so simple, but hearing them from a stranger was like a splash of cold water to the face. It stung, but it also woke me up. He was right. I didn't deserve this. For years, I had believed that if I just worked harder or was quieter, one day they would turn around and see me. I had been begging for scraps of their approval my entire life, just to be pointed toward the trash. The waiter's words didn't plant a seed. They watered one that had been dormant inside me for years. A seed of self-respect. In that moment, something inside me shifted. The deep, aching hurt began to solidify into something else. It wasn't anger. It was clarity. A calm, quiet, and absolute clarity. I didn't need their approval to have value. My value was in my hands, in the skills I had learned, in the lives I had touched, in the person I had become in spite of them. The trembling in my hands stopped. I took a slow, deep breath. I was done. I didn't make a scene. My victory wouldn't be loud. It would be quiet and absolute. I stood up, straightened my dress, and smiled politely at the kind waiter as he passed again. He gave me a small, encouraging nod. Then I turned and walked toward the exit, my head held high. No one from my family noticed me leave. I slipped out of the grand hall and into the cool Dallas night. The air felt clean. The drive back to my apartment was quiet. There was no sadness anymore. The space that had been filled with hurt was now filled with a firm resolve. Back in my apartment, I made a cup of tea, sat down at my desk, and opened my laptop. The screen lit up, showing folders and files that represented years of work my family knew nothing about. They saw me as just a nurse, respectable but unremarkable. They had no idea what I did when I wasn't on the hospital floor. About 4 years ago, I saved a man's life in the ER. That man was Dr. Eris Thorne, a brilliant cardiologist and budding medical tech innovator. He never forgot what I did. He saw a mind that was quick and calm under pressure. He brought me in on an idea he had, first as a consultant, then as a partner. For the last 3 years, we had been quietly building a company from the ground up, funded by a small inheritance from my grandmother, the only person in my family who had ever truly seen me. It was my secret, my passion. On my laptop screen was the final version of a press release. Dr. Thorne and I had been waiting for the final confirmation of a major government grant. The confirmation had come through that afternoon. We had agreed to release the news at 9 p.m. I looked at the clock. It was 8:55 p.m. I smiled, took a sip of my tea, and clicked a single button. The press release was live. Back at the Sterling, my father was in the middle of a toast to Claire, calling her the light of their lives. At that exact moment, the digital world lit up. The headline was simple and direct. Reynolds Health Tech secures $45 million grant to revolutionize patient care. The article detailed the groundbreaking technology Dr. Thorne and I had developed. And right there in the second paragraph was my name. The company, co-founded by the renowned Dr. Eris Thorne and lead innovator Hannah Reynolds, RN, has been praised by the National Institutes of Health for its potential to reshape modern healthcare. The internet moves faster than gossip. My name, Hannah Reynolds, began to trend in the Dallas area. My LinkedIn profile started getting hundreds of views a minute. Inside the restaurant, the first sign of the changing tide was a single phone buzzing. A tech investor my uncle knew glanced at his screen. His eyes widened. He showed it to the person next to him. Soon, a ripple effect spread through the room. The celebratory buzz was replaced by a wave of hushed, urgent whispers. Phones were lighting up on every table. The name Hannah Reynolds was being murmured from guest to guest. Wait, is that Claire's sister? The nurse? Co-founder? $45 million? Are you serious? Isn't that her... the one they made sit in the corner? Heads were turning, no longer looking at the bride-to-be, but scanning the room for me. Claire's smug smile began to falter. She could feel the shift in the room's energy. The spotlight was moving, and it wasn't following her. My father lowered his champagne glass, his face a mask of bewilderment. My Aunt Carol leaned over, her phone in her hand, her face pale. "Martha," she whispered to my mother, "you need to see this." I can only imagine the look on my mother's face as she read my name, linked with a number so large it was incomprehensible. The face of the daughter she had just told to sit quietly was now the biggest story in the room. I didn't have to walk back into that room. The world did it for me. Just as dessert was being served, the elegant evening was shattered. A team from a local news channel entered the room, a reporter with a microphone and a cameraman with a bright, glaring light. They made a beeline for the head table. "Mr. and Mrs. Reynolds?" the reporter asked, her voice cutting through the stunned silence. "We're from Channel 8 News. We'd love to get a comment about your daughter's incredible achievement." My father blinked into the light, baffled. "My daughter?" he stammered, gesturing toward Claire. "It's her engagement party." The reporter gave a tight smile. "We mean your other daughter, Hannah Reynolds, the co-founder of Reynolds Health Tech. You must be incredibly proud." The camera zoomed in on my parents' stunned faces, then swiveled to Claire. Her face had drained of all color. Her jaw was slack. This was her night, her moment, and it had just been hijacked by the sister she had cast out. The reporters weren't here for the beautiful bride-to-be. They were here for the nurse who was supposed to be sitting by the trash. The ignored sister was now the headline. Miles away, in my quiet apartment, I sat on my small balcony with a glass of red wine. The city lights of Dallas twinkled below. My phone on the table beside me was buzzing incessantly. They weren't angry calls from my family, not yet. They were messages from friends and old coworkers. "Hannah, I just saw the news. Congratulations. This is incredible. So proud of you. Finally, you're getting the recognition you deserve." A message from Dr. Thorne popped up. "The world sees you now, Hannah. Cheers." I smiled. A real, genuine smile. I didn't feel a surge of vengeful glee. I just felt peace, a profound and unshakable sense of peace. Their humiliation wasn't my victory. My victory was this moment. It was the knowledge that I had built a life on my own terms, with my own hard work. The validation I had craved for so long from them meant nothing compared to the validation I had finally given myself. Their world, with its white linens and cruel conditional love, suddenly seemed so small. They gave me a fold-out chair by the trash, a place they thought I belonged. But life and my own hard work had given me a seat at a table I built myself. It's a table where value is measured by character, not by family. It's a table where everyone is welcome. Have you ever been underestimated by the very people who should have been lifting you up? Tell me your story in the comments. We all deserve to be seen. And don't forget to like and subscribe, because there are so many more stories of truth that need to be told.